Hello, welcome back to Making Records with Eric Valentine. That's me. This is a behind the scenes on making a promo video for Undertone Audio. That seems to be a lot of what I'm doing these days. But there was some cool recording that happened in this. I got to set up an elaborate guitar sound for this because I'm trying to show off this little GB satellite thing. It's basically a reamp, but allows you to like daisy chain them together. You can get a bunch of amps going and stuff. You'll see all that in the videos, but so that's what we're doing. And I went through the whole process. So I set up all the stuff, I recorded it, got a guitar sound, mixed it, put it through my whole mixing setup, put it through the tape machine, the whole thing. I did the whole thing. So it's kind of a good little glimpse into how things are set up here. It's not recording a whole band, but it's doing a guitar sound, and I'm trying to like get a guitar sound that is gonna be like, wow, what a guitar sound. That's sort of the idea. It should sound good. So the first clip I'm gonna show, this is like after the first day, because it took me a day to just like dig all this stuff out of storage. A bunch of my amps were still in storage. Got them all dug out, got them set up, actually kind of heard it for a second, and then so this is the next day when I'm really like gonna get into really filming this promo thing. So here I am going to the studio. All right, I'm heading over to the barn. We had our first snow. Look at that. And it's kind of awesome. I mean, it's beautiful when it's snowing here in Vermont. And it's just quiet. There's nothing going on over here. No construction. There's still a little bit to do on the decks. The decks are mostly done, but there's just a little bit to finish. There's a deck actually on the other side of the building. You can't see from here, but they're doing a little bit of that. Other than that, it's pretty much done. The decks are, and so I guess I'm assuming, I guess it's almost 10 a.m. here. There's nobody here doing any work, so they must be taking the day off. And it's kind of great because it'll just be quiet in this place, and I'll be able to just do my thing. I'm working on promotional stuff for Undertone, and I think I'm gonna do a little. I mean, it's kind of the only recording I'm doing right now, so I'm gonna share some of that and see what I'm doing. I got to plug in a bunch of my amps that have just been in storage forever, and got like the loudest guitar sound ever that I've heard in a long time in this giant room, and it was super fun. So I'll show you that setup. All right, I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so the next clip I'll show is I'll walk around a little bit and kind of just show the whole setup. And just before I get into that, I can't say enough how incredibly fun it is to work in this place. It's just like, I got to do a session, recording Grace's band live in the barn. There's actually the first video that is up now. So if you search for Grace Potter, Ready, Set, Go live in Sonic Forest, you can see that and you can hear it. Really happy with the way it came out. I mean, what you see in that video is exactly how it was set up and recorded. It was done live cameras, live audio, live everything. And man, that room is just sounding incredible. And this whole thing was super fun to do, like, because I got to plan out all of my connectivity in advance and, apply everything that for all of the other studios that I've had. It's like, man, I really wish I had this or that or the other. And it's like, it's all in here. And so every time I get these like moments of satisfaction where it's like, okay, I'm going to, record a DI, and there's a DI right here, just ready to go. And it shows up on an input and it's all just ready, and then I have to get the DI signal out to the room, and there's already a tie line specifically for that says from control room, and so it's the right gender XLR cable. It just makes everything so easy because it's all just set up to use these these recording techniques. So it's been really fun. I'm finally really getting to use this place, and it's been great. So in this next video, you can check out, I just kind of walk around and show the whole setup. I show all the amps in the room and what mics are being used, talk a little bit about some of the video stuff I'm trying to capture, all of that. So here you go, you can check that out. Hey everybody, I thought I would just kind of show you what's going on here. I am, right now, I got to do a bunch of promo stuff for Undertone, and so that's what I've been doing here today. Here, there's like a bunch of stuff in the room. I'm doing something for the little satellite box, and I had to get this like cool rotating shot of it. So I ended up putting it on a turntable. So I put it on here, and then put the camera up close and was able to go, oh, get the cool close up rotating shot. So doing stuff like that, and part of this was like demonstrating how you can daisy chain those things together and hook up a bunch of amps. And so I got to hook up a bunch of my amps that have just been like in storage for years. I just haven't had any time to use them, so I got to pull out a bunch of the old amps, dust them off. There was one that when it came on, it was just a big puff of smoke. That happens, when they've been sitting for a long time. But so check this out. I got all 4 of these set up, and so then got to blast all of them at the same time, and man, it's loud. I just hadn't experienced, the like Marshall Super Lead 100, going full tilt, and it's been a long time, and man, that is a fucking loud ass amp. Cool thing is like, it's a big space, and so it just fills up this room, with a bunch of amazing energy, and so the room sounds really cool in here. You'll be able to hear all of that, I guess, at some point. I'll put it together. So what I ended up doing was good old 57 on the Marshall rig, and then this Bach mic, which gets a really cool like subby low end, and part of this I wanted to get that like that low thumping that happens when you really hit the guitar hard. So it's kind of important for this. And then some cool stuff over here. I ended up using M582 on the Vox. That's just been a very tried and true combo on this amp. It's worked a bunch of times. I use that on all over the Persephone Bees record and bunch of stuff. The 582 has been sounding great on that amp forever. And then same thing, Twins get a really cool thumpy low end, and so I did the same Bach on this one. And then here's the good old orange, an OR120, and so this guy, there's a 67. I ended up getting rid of a bunch of my 412 cabs when I moved from LA, and in this round I was kind of like, damn it, I should have one more 412 cab. But so I found this thing, this let's see if I can get it to show up. Yeah, this Gibson cab was part of Grace's collection of stuff. So I put a 582 on there. I had to kind of put it off to the side a little bit. It was pretty bright. And then this amp is just got too much power to only be on this one 212 cab. So I fed it to both of these. It worked out where I could do like the upper 4 of this and 2 of that. They were both 8 ohms, so I got a 4 ohm combined speaker impedance, and so set at 4 ohms, and then it wouldn't just shred these speakers in the Gibson there. So yeah, 582 there, 67 there, and then in the room, a couple 87s. There's one way over here, and then I did one way over and on this side. So that's the setup. All the mic preamps are just undertones. The MPDI 4s, and the DI obviously is the GB tracker, and then there's 4 satellites that are all daisy chained together in the room to just demonstrate that like you can do that with those things. Okay, so that's basically how things were set up. And when I was doing this, I was set up back here with this black curtain. I was trying to get all these cool shots of the satellite and a GB tracker, and then I wrote out a little script for like a voiceover part. I ended up doing the voiceover myself. I used this 67. The treatment in this room is really good for doing voiceover stuff. It's really nice and dry and focused in here. And so I just sit right here and just blah 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 blah, do my voiceover. I actually put a put the script up on the screen so I can glance at that and try and read it. And actually for that, I had to take my glasses off because that screen is so far away that my glasses for seeing stuff close up weren't working. But this 67 is incredible for voiceover stuff, man. It's just a huge sound. It's just got so much energy in it, and huge low end. It was actually modified. They originally the original 67 design, I think, had some sort of built-in low-pass filter that was there all the time as like a proximity compensation, and at a certain point it was Larry that removed that and opened up the low end, and man, these mics are massive sounding, really, really beautiful sounding mics. So I did that for the voiceovers. So here you can, I'll play you a little bit of what my voice sounds like.
The GB satellite isn't just an amazing add-on to the GB tracker that allows you to extend the DI signal anywhere you can go with an XLR cable.
So it's pretty funny, like the mic is a huge part of making it sound more like a radio announcer's voice, or proper voiceover actor. Because I am not that, but we're just trying to make it work here. And then, and I actually got some footage of me doing it. It's pretty funny here. You can check that out.
So get yourself some undertone audio GB satellites and plug your DI signal into an amp, or 2 or 3 or 4, and see what a reamp can really sound like.
And so then in the computer, it's pretty straightforward, just a little bit of high pass in here just to get rid of some thumps on there. And then I'm using just good old Pro C2, some compression, and a little bit of limiting just to get the level up and not have any clipping going on. And then just a tiny, tiny bit of de-essing on there. The whole
GB
thing.
satellite isn't just an amazing add-on to the GB tracker that allows you to extend the DI signal anywhere you can go with an XLR cable. It just might be the best sounding standalone reamp in the market today. With its custom...
So there it is. I also did another pass that was like more of a vocal fry sound. And I thought it was going to sound cool. It was kind of unbearable to listen to, and this one sounded like this.
The GB satellite isn't just an amazing add-on to the GB tracker that allows you to extend the DI signal anywhere you can go with an XLR cable.
So, I'm just trying to have it not sound like me, and pretty funny. Like, I've gotten better at doing voices, and it's mostly come from reading books for Sagan at bedtime. And so, we have all these books, and it's just an opportunity to do voices. And I've never really done much of that before, but like now every night I do bedtime and read books, and and it's an opportunity to practice doing voices. And so, man, I don't know, maybe I'm getting better at it. I'm not sure. Hopefully it's gonna work. But it was fun to do. So then, let me get into the guitar part of it. So I used this guitar, and it's nothing special. It's just a Gibson 335 standard, so there's no binding, and the electronics are a little more basic, all of that stuff. Just the stock pickup in there, and it's been a great guitar. I've used it on a bunch of stuff on Grace's records. This was the guitar that was on a cool guitar riff song called "On My Way" on the Daylight record. I had this thing around then, and then the cable I used, of course, used a Varicap cable, and setting 0 for this part, just the lowest capacitance. It definitely worked the best, just to maintain all of those upper harmonics in the guitar and have it sound a little more open. So I used this cable and just went into a GB tracker right here. I put one here. I normally have them set up in the system over there, but I was filming it, so I put one here so you could see it in the camera shot. And setting input gain was all the way down, output gain's all the way up, and so we'll hear the DI. You know, not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's a DI. It's part of this process. And then you can hear it once it gets loud and I start playing hard. Yeah, you know, sounds like a DI. And so then from there, what ends up happening is, and I'm going to get another camera going. Okay, so now I'm going to be able to show you how this is set up. So there's the GB tracker. That's how it was set. And then on the back here, I come out of the, you know, DAW, to DAW output. And that goes into here. This is my input that I use for that. It's just one of my HDX inputs. And so that gets captured into the computer. And then I can come out of, so this is that same HDX unit. So here's the output from it. So I can come out of that thing. This thing normally is feeding a bunch of reverbs and stuff. I'm not using that for this. So I dead patch the reverb and then come out of this and go into Big Room West. And so that shows up there. So now, here, we'll go out into the room, and you can see how all of this goes together. So I'm going to turn on these lights. And so this is the west side of the building. And here I just have output from control room, number 1. So then that goes to the first satellite right here. And then you can come out of that one, go to the next one, and then out of that one, go to the next one, out of that one, and go to the next one. So then, you know, you can have 4 of these things going with just one signal coming from the control room. So I don't have to have, you know, 4 cables coming out of here. Just kind of makes it easier for connectivity. And the only thing, when you start daisy chaining that many, just because of the loading on the signal, it'll start to change the unity gain a tiny bit. But we're talking like, you know, fractions of a dB. So with those 3 things, you might lose maybe 2 or 3 tenths of a dB. You know, maybe that's audible. I end up fine-tuning the gain here. I ended up adding a little gain just on the channel that's sending to the amps. Right now I put it back in the main output so we could hear just the DI signal. But normally it would be going to here, and that would send it to the amps. And then I did a little bit of mid-range here, boosting whatever this is, right around 800 hertz. Just make it bark a little more. Recently, I heard recently that there was a meme made of me talking about mid-range on guitar, and it's really, really funny. I did see a little bit of it. It's hilarious. It was the sound on sound thing that I did with the Queens of the Stone Age guitar sound, where I you know, I mean, that's what those guitar sounds were. It was just an experiment to see how much mid-range you could put in a guitar sound. So they took all of my references to boosting mid-range and edited them all together in sequence, and it's hilarious. It's really funny. Okay, so that goes out there, and then you get this back right here. So this is all of the microphones coming out of that big room. So we'll hear them individually first. So this is a 57 on the Marshall. You hear, you know, it's pan to the left. And then here's the Bach. You can hear that thumpy low end on there. And I'm accentuating that with EQ. I just wanted it to have that like sort of percussive, subby impact to it. So I actually really enhanced that. Specifically put up the Bach just for that reason. Okay, so then this is the Vox with the 582 on it. Man, I love that sound. The Vox is such a cool sound. And you can actually tell maybe, like the mid-range boost that I did was probably beneficial for the Marshall, maybe not necessary for the Vox. Now that I listen to this again, I could have put this to, duplicated this DI and had one that was EQ'd for the Marshall and one that wasn't, for the Vox if I was getting that picky about it, but didn't end up doing that. And so then here's the Twin, which I believe also has a Bach on it. And also trying to accentuate that subby low end on this one. Okay. And then this is the orange. Yeah, cool sound. That amp always sounds like, it's like about to completely melt when you drive it like that. It's one of the things I really like about it. I'm not totally convinced that thing is 100% healthy because it seemed quieter than it normally should be, but yeah, that's basically what it sounds like. And then there was a second mic, so that was the 582 that was on that Gibson cabinet. And then this is a 67 that was, a couple feet in front of the upper four speakers on the SVT cabinet. Also just for low endy, thumpy stuff. Doing the same thing here. Get that concussive sort of low end going on. And so then here's all of them together. Oh, and I should do the room mics. So there's the 87s, sounding cool. Man, that room, woo doggies, is sounding incredible. Okay, so now let's hear all of this together. So this is just mic preamps going straight into the computer, and I didn't really do any EQ in here except for the low-endy stuff. I didn't mess around with any of the mids or any of that stuff. I low-passed the room mics, make those a little darker, not so splashy sounding. Okay, so let's hear it all together. Okay, now here is a cool thing. They add up pretty cool. Part of that is this thing. I'm pretty sure somebody at some point in a comment had mentioned this thing, and I went and checked it out. There's a few of these out there now that sort of analyze audio and try and line up the phasing. This one is doing it by just offsetting the timing of the sources, and it's cool. This was something that I often did just by ear. Would just go through, pick a mic that was like my main sort of reference point, maybe the mic that's the closest up, and then start moving all the other mics so everything's in line. It got a lot easier to do that. Once we all were using computers on tape machines, you couldn't, and you just kind of would get what you get. Or be careful about how you place things. There were some small tricks for doing it, but they were clumsy and difficult. But check out what this thing does. It's pretty great. So obviously this is with it on. That's with it off. Now back on. It's pretty amazing. you know, when you really get things lined up like that, how in focus it gets. You know, the whole sound actually sounds further away when all the phasing is just kind of like, you know, it's in its natural position and they're not really lining up exactly. And so, man, that is a time saver for sure. For me, if I went through and had to do this by ear with all 6 of these microphones, it would have taken me a long time. And so it's cool. I just did it, analyzed it, you know, it does the alignment, listen to it back. Hey, that's great. Here we go. So that was cool. I ended up not doing it on the room mics. You know, I want to be able to hear that sense of space that the room mics create. So I think the first time I did it, I had it on there as well, pulled them forward and made the room sound much smaller. And in fact, I'm actually delaying the rooms by, you know, 60 milliseconds here. It just makes the room sound like it's, you know, the microphones are another 60 feet away. Makes it a bigger sound. I experimented with a secondary delay, just, you know, blending this in, and it got a little too, I don't know, processed sounding, I think. I dug it better with just hearing the room and having a little more space in the room. So then, you know, I got all these mics in here, and then it was feeling like, okay, this is a cool sound, but it was doing that thing that I always am battling with digital recordings, which is that it was sounding a little bit dull and a little bit harsh at the same time. It's my least favorite quality of the computer. And so I ended up running it through the tape machine. So here is a moment where I explain all that. All right, so now I'm at the point where I think I got my voiceover done. There's my little setup for that. And I'm experiencing that thing that I get a lot with digital recordings where it sounds dull and harsh at the same time. So tape machine to the rescue. So, you know, I have all my tracks here. I've created a bunch of sends, pre-fade, so I can preserve some of the levels that I'd set for the blend. And so those are going to go to tracks on the tape machine. I'm just going to go and take a quick peek, make sure it's all getting there. So here we go in the machine room. Tape machine's all ready to go. Here's the first 4 tracks. Here's the second 4 tracks there. Everything's on input right now. Just going to make sure that they're all showing up. And now I'm going to switch everything to playback on this machine. This machine, you know, there isn't really a handy remote available. Start rolling, hit record. Okay, looks like everything's still coming back. Now I got to make sure I'm going to listen. This one looks pretty hot. I may have to tame that a little bit. We'll see. If it sounds cool, then great. But you know, if it's getting too blown up, then I'll have to adjust it. Oh yeah, we're already doing way better here. So I think, yeah, that's the one. That's the one that was super hot to the tape machine. It smells pretty great. Let me ease off just a little bit. I haven't panned anything out yet on this side of it, but that sounds a whole lot more like real deal rock guitar. So I think tape machine is going to save me here. All right, I'm gonna capture this, get a blend, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so that's when I put everything through the tape machine, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about how this whole setup works. So I'm going to turn on this other camera, and I can get over here. And so you can see what's going on. So these are the tie lines that I used for all the microphones coming in, and that's all derived up here. And so There's a big room west, and it's labeled 17 through 24, but I think I screwed this up. On the panel, it actually says 1 through 8. And so then that goes to here, which is mic tie lines 9 through 16, right? So then those show up here, tie lines 9 through 16. So then those, I patch those into all the MPDI 4s. So here's, you know, MPDI, let's see, okay. So here's MPDI number 1, and you know, and so I still have the sequential numbers in there, so it's like 19 through 26 is what they end up being. So that's all the mic preamps coming in, or microphone signals going into the mic preamps, and then the outputs of the mic preamps just normal to those inputs, and so I just select these inputs on the computer. And so then here's the MPDIs. And, you know, I tend to lean towards lots of color, as usual. So I have the output transformer on, I have the loads, all the load switches are on. That makes it sound a little, it emphasizes the even order harmonic, that second order harmonic. I'm just now noticing I didn't have the input transformer on these. I meant to have those on, but, you know, I don't know. I missed that in the moment, but I did have it right on all of these. And for guitar, I tend to not do the output pad because especially distorted guitar doesn't have a lot of big transient peaks. And so it can end up, you know, just sounding kind of crackly, and you don't get that cool sort of softening of transients that you get. Like the minus 10 dB thing really works amazing when you're doing drums. And so I usually have that in for the drums, but not as much for guitar. So that's where everything's set, and then, you know, just set level. So it was a healthy level going into the computer, nothing too tricky there. So then for the tape machine part of it, so all this stuff normaled into the computer, and then I selected outputs from the Orion that would feed to the tape machine. So that right now, I didn't want to really do any EQing on individual mics. I was pretty happy with how everything was adding up, and so I just patched directly out of there into the inputs of the tape machine, sort of in the shadows there, but it's a little hard to see. Right there it says tape machine inputs. So that's going into the tape machine inputs, and then the output of the tape machine normal to the second Orion right here. So I can, you know, get it all back into the computer. And then that shows up right here, and then I labeled everything, Marshall, AC30, twin, blah, 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 all that stuff. And so then here's those same inputs 5 through 12 for all those things. So now check this out. These things, the levels, I don't know if they're exactly matched here, but they're close. The panning is the same. But, you know, it's a pretty glaring difference between having gone through the tape machine and the original direct digital stuff. And again, no EQ. So everything that was on here, including all of this, you know, phase alignment stuff that this whatever thing, Auto Align 2 does, and, you know, and then those low-endy things, like all of that is getting sent via these pre-fade sends, go to the tape machine, and then it all comes back here. And now it sounds like this. So this is all just the raw tracks going straight to the monitoring output of Pro Tools. Okay, now check it out when I switch back to the digital. Now, tape machine. You know, that is not a small difference. That is why I still keep tape machines around. I mean, it just does so much work for me. It's really incredible. Like, you know, these direct digital recordings, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just what I'm used to. I just spent so much time recording with tape machines. When I hear these, you know, these direct digital recordings, it just sends me like diving for an equalizer to try and fix it somehow, you know, that doesn't really need to be done. And as soon as it goes to the tape machine, all of a sudden I just feel like, oh, that sounds great. You know, I don't have to do a whole lot of EQ, you know. everything's sitting the way it's supposed to. And the digital recording thing is still just very disorienting for me. So yeah, that's a big deal. I'll play it one more time. See what you think. Digital. Yeah, it does that thing where it just makes it less harsh, but somehow more bright and airy, and it's just incredible what it does in there. Okay, so then from there, I took all these tracks and then mixed them through the passive summing mixer, and they went through the the bus amps on the RCA, and I did a little bit of compression and a little bit of outboard EQ just on the whole thing as a stereo blend. And so here, I'll show you what that whole setup is. So those 8 tracks get sent to a stereo output, which goes right here to the one labeled guitars. And so then this goes to the music summing bus. So that signal, it's actually labeled instruments on the patch bay. I gotta get my nomenclature lined up better here. But yeah, this is that same signal. So this is the summed signal which needs to be boosted. So then it goes to preamps in order to boost up the level. And right now I'm using these, it would be these 2 Langevin AM16s that make up the 35 dB of gain. I had to pad the outputs a little bit in order to get the gain just right. And then I can trim with these little trim pots to make sure the left and right is perfectly adjusted, because there's no gain control on the AM16s. And then coming out of the preamps here, it would normally just normalize to the inputs of this Wes Audio level control guys right there. But I'm actually inserting some processing here. So I'm going to these EMI Zener compressors right here. They're just incredible on guitar. Here, I'll go and get a shot of these. And so it's these 2 right here. So it's the same design as what was in the TGI console. Apparently these were standalone units that were in like a mastering console of some sort. And I got them. Boutique Audio racked them up for me, and man, they're really good on guitar. Okay, so goes here. So that's those, and then we go here, and this is a pair of these Pultec mid-range EQs, which are 9 and 10 right here, and then it goes to a pair of the Undertone 500 series EQs, which is sort of a new part of my setup here now that they're finally done and rocking. And then comes back here and then goes back into the Wes Audio level control thing. Right now, that thing's just running Unity gain. So what happens is, once it goes into the Wes Audio, comes out of there, so there it is, music, and then goes back into the passive summing mixer, shows up on these 2 toggle switches here, and that allows me to turn off this whole, on and off this whole music bus right there. And so then that feeds the signal into the final mix bus right there. And so the final mix bus, here is the summed signal of that. It's normaling to here, which is the RCA console. These amazing summing amps. Here's one of them here. I have it popped up right now because it's actually holding up the tubes. I still haven't had a chance to hang those yet. Okay, and so it goes into the RCA console here, comes out of the RCA console, and then goes to my Lavry Gold converter here, and then shows back up in the computer right here. And so then this is what I captured, and that whole thing was really just for was just for when the guitars got loud, because in the promo video you only hear the DI for the first part where the voiceover dialogue is happening, and then there's this moment where there's this big sort of like, now you get to really hear what it sounds like, and then big guitars go, you know. And so let's hear what that sounds like. So that's this right here. So this is with the EMI Zener style compression, with Undertone Audio 500 series EQs and these Pultec mid-range EQs. Check it out. And so I can easily show you, this is all of that without, this is the identical signal just before it went through all of this stuff. And then here's with all of it. So you can hear that, like, that impact that's created by the EMI compressor. It's just, man, it's so good at that. So let's see, I think I can put this on input. Everything's still set up here, and there it is. So we can hear these EQs. So the undertones are definitely doing most of the work of just like adding some mid-range presence. That's without the undertones. The EQ 500. Here, so I'm gonna get this going here. So there's that. And then these Pultecs are relatively subtle. They're just boosting a little 500 in there. That's without it. Yeah, it just adds like a little mid-range girth to it. And then you can see the RCA doing its thing here. I'm boosting a little bit of the 10K, these knobs. These are the custom knobs that I've added that boost high end because of this weird capacitance thing that happened on that. Just adds a little bit of air to it. And so, you know, on the UTA EQs, it's not a huge amount of boost. It's maybe just like a couple dB, something like that. It's right around maybe 1.6, 1.7K, somewhere around there. Pretty broad bandwidth, but I'm doing this thing where I'm blending in a little bit of the shelf shape. So it's not, if this knob was fully counterclockwise, then it would just be a peak. But you turn this up, and then everything above 1.6K comes up, and it kind of opens it up a little bit. It's a really nice thing. And then I'm not using either of these other bands. You know, I was able to just do it all with the one mid-range band. I think that's everything. That's everything that I ended up using on this. Yeah, that was. I mean, we went through a whole patch bay. It's all there. So if you want to see the finished thing, I'm going to start trying to keep all of the Undertone, you know, promotional stuff on their own YouTube channel. I finally got that going. So this thing will be on the Undertone YouTube channel. If you want to go and check that out, you can go. I'll put up a QR thing or something, so you can link to that and find it, and check out, you know, what all this added up to. But this was fun. You know, it was like an opportunity to use this studio, and man, it is really, really fun. I've been having a good time, and I'm going to continue to try and document this stuff as much as possible. There's going to be some more of these things demonstrating stuff. I just got to get caught up in all this Undertone stuff, and there is recording stuff going on, and so I'm going to try and document it, and I'll share, you know, whatever of it we can, and you know, and start getting, you know, a look at how this place is really set up and how it's functioning, how it's sounding, all that stuff. You know, it's been a long journey to get here. Obviously, I still have some, like, still got to try and pretty up this room. You know, I would love to be doing that right now, but this other stuff is very urgent, and so I'm sort of in that weird spot where, you know, there's work that needs to get done, and so, you know, I have to choose between, you know, covering up tubes or actually getting work done when I need to. So the tubes The tubes have to wait. But so there you go, behind the scenes, satellite promo video. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.